Have you ever walked through a city and focused only on one color? It might sound strange, but paying attention to a single detail can open your eyes, and your English, to the world around you. As English learners, observing and describing what you see can be a powerful way to build vocabulary and fluency. In this story, we'll see how a girl explored a new place by following one simple rule: only pay attention to blue walls. If you enjoy learning English through stories, remember to subscribe to Native Fluent and share in the comments, what's a color that reminds you of something meaningful? Let's begin the story. Ava woke up early that morning with no plan. She was in a city she didn't know well, traveling alone. The streets were still quiet, the sun was barely rising, and her phone was at 30% battery. Instead of rushing to search for attractions or cafes, she sat by the window of her hostel and looked outside. The first thing she noticed was a blue wall. Not sky blue, not soft. It was deep, almost navy, and it had cracks like lightning running through the paint. There was graffiti in the corner. It looked like someone had tried to paint over something. She stared at it for a few seconds. Then she smiled. Today, she thought, I'll just follow blue walls. She didn't tell anyone. It was her private experiment. She left her phone in airplane mode and stepped outside with her notebook in her bag. The first blue wall she passed belonged to a bakery. The sign was faded, but the smell of fresh bread made her stop. She pushed the door open and was greeted by an older woman who pointed to the pastries and said something in the local language. Ava didn't understand everything, but she smiled and said, "Just one, please." The woman laughed and handed her a small round pastry wrapped in paper. Ava said thank you and stepped out again. She took her time walking down the street. Not every wall caught her eye. She was looking for walls that were clearly blue, not greenish, not gray-blue, but true blue. Some were bright, like cobalt. Others were darker. Some had peeling paint. One had vines growing across it, with tiny purple flowers in the cracks. Near the train station, she found a bright blue gate attached to a small art gallery. There was a blue poster on the wall, "Open Studio, Local Artists Today." She hesitated for a second, then stepped in. Inside, the walls were white, but one room had a long canvas covered in blue ink. It looked like ocean waves or a sky during a storm. A man standing nearby saw her staring and asked, "Do you like it?" "Yes," she said. "It feels wide." "Wide?" he repeated. Interesting choice of word. She nodded, a little nervous. "I'm still learning English." "I meant, open. Like a big space." He smiled. "That makes sense. Wide is good." They talked for a few minutes. She learned 2 new words, brushstroke and pigment. She wrote them down in her notebook before she left. At noon, the sun was strong and the shadows were short. Ava sat on a bench under a tree near a pale blue building. There was a mural painted on it, children flying kites, animals running, birds sitting on wires. The artist had used only 2 colors, blue and white. She noticed that even without many details, the picture told a story. She imagined the birds talking, the kids laughing. She wrote down a sentence in her notebook: "Sometimes blue is not cold, it's alive." As she continued walking, she reached a small alley. The walls on both sides were painted different shades of blue, and the windows had colorful curtains. A man was sitting outside, playing a guitar. He nodded as she passed. She slowed down and said, "Your music is nice." He replied, "Thank you. The blue brings out the sound, don't you think?" Ava laughed. "Maybe. It makes everything feel soft." The man asked where she was from. They talked for a few minutes, mostly simple words, a little grammar bending here and there. She told him about her blue wall experiment. "That's a beautiful idea," he said. "People usually walk fast and miss the colors." "I used to," Ava admitted. "But not today." Later, she found herself in a quiet square surrounded by blue-painted doors and shutters. A little girl was blowing bubbles, and her grandmother was sitting nearby. One bubble floated close to Ava and popped near her face. The girl giggled. Ava waved, and the woman waved back. She sat down on the edge of the fountain and took out her notebook again. She wrote, "Words I saw today: mural, pigment, shutter, wide. Phrases I used: just one, please, it feels wide, your music is nice. I didn't take pictures. But I saw more." As the sun began to set, the blue on the walls changed again. Some became purple in the shadows. Others glowed in the golden light. She realized that color, like language, was always shifting, depending on light, on emotion, on who's looking. She made her way back to the hostel slowly, smiling every time she saw another blue wall. Her notebook was a little heavier now, not with paper, but with memory. Let's go over some useful expressions and words from this story. Follow blue walls, a poetic way to say, let something simple guide your day. Faded describes something that has lost brightness or color. Wide, used to express spaciousness or openness. Brushstroke and pigment, useful vocabulary when talking about art. The blue brings out the sound, an example of metaphor in casual speech. Not with paper, but with memory, a figurative expression to describe emotional weight. This story shows how everyday observation and a bit of curiosity can help you build language skills naturally and meaningfully. If this story helped you learn something new, subscribe to Native Fluent, like the video, and share a comment. What color would you follow for a day? See you in the next video.